Hey everybody, Coach Casey back with you. Today we're going to jump in and talk about why your dog may not be listening to you. Does that sound familiar? You ever feel like you get in these situations where it doesn't matter what you do, dog just doesn't listen, doesn't care? I'm going to jump in and share why that is. And I've again shared my little board here with the 6 phases, the Dream Dog formula, because this is an easy way to explain why your dog isn't listening. I'm going to use this exact formula over here to explain it. So here's what's going on, guys, for the most part. And this is what I see. Again, my opinion, this is what I see over and over and over is, dogs are going through, if you've listened to any of my recordings in the past, any of my videos, you hear me talk about how so many dogs, if they do enroll in training, they only complete the learning phase and then they graduate. There's a lot of courses out. It's just a lack of awareness on the trainer. It's not the owner's fault. They're trying to do the right thing, but there's trainers out there that just don't understand the right way to do things, unfortunately. You know what I mean? And so you see a lot of it. So here's what happens is that once you go through training and you've been through a learning phase and you can hold up a treat and your dog, sit down, shake, come, heel, all that stuff. Dog knows what all that stuff means, right? You've probably shaped those behaviors in that training. And that's what that means. It's a learning phase. Hold up a treat, you say sit, the dog puts a butt on the floor, bam, they know what sit means. You hold up a treat, you say down, or you hold up a treat and you lower them into a sit, and then you lower them into a down. You know what I mean? They're showing you that they know what this stuff means. So here's where people are running into a mistake with this, guys, and why that they're losing control with their dogs. For one, leaders control resources. They understand how to get the dogs to execute. You know what I mean? So what I'm getting ready to say here is, I guess just ask yourself if you can think about, do you see yourself doing this or have you caught yourself doing this? And basically it is repeating commands. Repeating commands. And what that does is it keeps you stuck right here in this learning phase. Even if you've been through a reinforcing, proofing, and unleashing, if you're sitting up here and you're just repeating commands, that's why your dog doesn't listen, because they know you repeat them. Why would they ever do it the first time? Good question, right? And like I said, I've been seeing it for years. So if you're going to hold up a treat and get your dog to sit, right? And then this is what I talk about in the learning stage. And they sit, that means that they know what it means. So to go into the reinforcing phase, you get rid of the treat. And I've talked about this before, guys, right? You put the treat down, that moves you into the reinforcing phase. Now you look at the dog again, you say sit. Now they have a choice to make, right? If they sit, it's positive reinforcement. You get the treat out. It's a reward. It's not a bribe. Or you can use positive reinforcement. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good girl. But that's what you're doing is you're moving them into reinforcing phase, because if they don't sit, you know what to do. And basically it just means, no, I want you to sit. And you let them know that you know how to do that. And that's what happens in a reinforcing phase. So does that make sense? You can sit in a learning phase. And then when they say sit and they do it, you give them a positive reinforcement. But if they don't do it, you jump down into the reinforcing phase and say, no, I want you to sit. And you know how to reinforce it because you've been through the training. And they learn that you know how to reinforce it. So then they do it. But here's what's happening instead of that. All right. So that's the ideal situation. If you know the dog knows a command, instead of sitting there in a bribe situation or when you put the treat down, this is what happens. I always say, don't get in a bribe situation. So people are putting a treat down, but then they're just sitting in this learning phase and repeating commands. And I'll give you a perfect example. They put the treat down and they'll say, sit, sit, Fido, sit, sit, sit. Oh, that's a good boy. Right. When they put their bottom on the floor. Yeah. And they do it after, what was that, 5 or 6 times? But why would that same dog, I named him Fido in that example, but why would he ever do it the first time? He was not, period. So to get away from that, okay, I know what he knows sit means. Now I'm going to go down to the reinforcing phase. I'm not going to sit in those learning phase and just repeat, 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 repeat. And that's what you're doing. Who's in charge when you're doing that? If you ain't got a treat, he's like, you got something for me? No, okay. So when you start seeing those kind of behaviors and you got to repeat your command over and over, get down into the reinforcing phase. Let them know that you know how to reinforce this and let them know that you're going to make them sit. And it doesn't mean you got to be heavy-handed, anything like that. It's applying negative reinforcement in a way that they know how to communicate and gather it. And that's basically, a verbal no is a fantastic negative reinforcement. So I would much rather have you put the treat down, look at the dog, If you know that they know what sit means, because if holding the treat up, they do it, right? So they know what it means. Get rid of the treat, look at them again. When they say sit, if they don't do it, instead of repeating commands, go down to your reinforcing phase and say, no, I want you to sit. And there's a way to do that. But that's how you get to the reinforcing phase. And now when they start understanding, oh, okay, this is what happens when I do this. This is what happens when I do that. This is making sense. Now you take that training, right? They know the commands, they know the reinforcement, and now you can take it into distraction proofing scenarios. Now you can take it out to the park. Now you can take it, have someone ring your doorbell. Now you can use these reality scenarios and get them to understand. And then if you want to go further from there, you can take your leash off and learn how to maintain it. But you're not going to get through proofing, unleashing any of that when you're up here repeating commands. And that is why your dog's not listening. All right, guys. Coach Casey here. I will put a link in the comments below. I will pin that comment. Short link to, you can read about me. There's a little short video there that I explained this process in a lot more detail if you want to take a look at that. And you can even set up a booking with me right from that site. So click on that link, check it out. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap and happy training.